Greetings family. This week I'm going to look at the politics of validation. It's going to be a short lesson, really got 2 points to make, but before I do that I want to start with my nomination for this year's Oscar for the greatest script and actor performance of the year.
No temporary accommodation. Yeah, I was happy in my house. I work hard. I had a good house. I had everything. And listen, don't give me any rubbish. I think I'm going to accept it because I'm not going to accept it.
Olu does not want temporary accommodation. He wants permanent accommodation. He wants good permanent accommodation. That is not too much to ask. Can you promise him that?
Victoria, so what we have said is that...
Just say yes or no.
Let's open the letter. Alok Shamar is hit. The most humbling experience of my life deserves an Oscar.
Mr. Speaker, on my visits to the Westway, hearing the harrowing accounts of survivors has been the most humbling and moving experience of my life. The families that I've met have been through unimaginable pain. This is a tragedy that should never have happened. And we are determined to do all that we can to make sure something like this never happens again.
Now, do you remember Theresa May? She made this comment in the House of Commons a few weeks ago. She said that within 3 weeks, everyone would be housed or rehoused.
So let me be absolutely clear. All those who have lost their homes will be rehoused within 3 weeks. Rehoused within 3 weeks. Rehoused within 3 weeks.
Now, what we didn't know at the time is that she didn't mean housed in a permanent house. It meant housed again in another temporary accommodation before they move again to another home.
What is really important to highlight here is how twice you mentioned the word accommodation. Third time you mentioned accommodation. Fourth time it became temporary accommodation.
Now, you've got to think there's some 159 families, 148 offers were made, and out of that only 14 houses were accepted.
He was offered accommodation. He escaped from the 4th floor of the burning tower. He was offered accommodation in a high-rise block. Why?
If that accommodation is not acceptable to you, and I absolutely understand why, then you should not accept it.
People are starting to say, well, why aren't you accepting it? What's going on? You should be grateful. But starting the charge, trying to incite the public against the Grenfell families and survivors, what we have is Nadia Senti. Now, she is the Tory councillor who sent this horrendous tweet backing up this idea about she's losing sympathy, and the classic line, "I'm done pretending, be grateful."
We've been hearing that people are still sleeping on floors, people who've been made homeless by them.
Why are people sleeping in floors when there are housings available? You could, in the richest borough, just purchase a block of buildings and house people.
I went to the Harrow Club last week together with my colleague Nick Hurd, and I met people who've been affected by this. And it was, the bravery that people are showing in coming forward and the dignity is something that,
They're asking you to stop with the platitudes, please. Okay, please.
Let me answer.
I want permanent accommodation. I'm not moving my child from here to here to here to here.
Yes.
I want a permanent accommodation. I'm not moving my child from here to here. If you don't give me permanent accommodation, I'm not going to accept it.
There's absolutely nothing unreasonable about wanting a permanent home when you've been made destitute and homeless in such traumatic circumstances. Being expected to move and move again, and perhaps even move again, is just completely out of order. And I think that the fact that this councillor, Nadia Senti, has sent out this wicked tweet trying to say that she's done pretending about having sympathy for what's happened, saying that people are going to start saying that, well, you guys are all criminals anyway, so what's the problem? I think this really shows the way how politics is getting dirty and how the media is starting to get involved in this trend. I heard there was a disgusting tirade on LBC, surprise, surprise, actually starting to try to turn the public against the Grenfell families. So we need to keep an eye on that one. Anyway, my last point on the politics of validation is actually about the inquiry.
There will also be an independent public inquiry chaired by a judge to get to the truth about what happened and who was responsible.
Yeah, but you don't respect me because you say the government has appointed me to do a hatchet job.
Not a hatchet job, you're going to do a Taylor report like for Hillsborough, which was very technical but didn't deal with the wider issues, and it took 30 years for people to be arrested.
I think we've actually forgotten that there's actually 3 inquiries. There's a police inquiry, there's a fire inquiry, and there's the public inquiry. And what the media has done so brilliantly is got us all focused on the public inquiry, but forgetting the fire inquiry, which is the one that's looking at how the fire was caused, and the police inquiry to see who was actually involved. Now, I think it's very important that we understand that we have to keep focus on the police inquiry. The public inquiry is all very well and good, but as I spoke about last week, the remit is so narrow, it's not going to deliver justice for us. So we need to really focus on the police inquiry. We need to be asking, what are you doing, Scotland Yard? Where are your 200 detective teams? What kind of progress have they made? This is the question. And when it comes to the public inquiry, they're really playing some feisty little games here.
This is why it's so important to get the terms of reference right, and for you to tell me what you think it should cover.
We did, and then you dismissed them on TV.
I think you've misremembered what I said.
I'm well aware that the residents and the local people want a much broader investigation. Whether my inquiry is the right way in which to achieve that, I'm more doubtful.
We shouldn't be validating the public inquiry. Now, that savage jabby can tell us that we have to respect the decision and the appointment of the Justice Secretary, but actually, no, we don't. We don't have to accept it. If we don't think that he is the right appointment, and we've got valid reasons for believing so, then we don't have to accept it. But more importantly so, what we need to also do is actually say, well, you know what? This inquiry does not have my blessing, so I am boycotting it. I'm actually refusing to join it. And that is a very valid way of resistance, and that's what I think we should be taking. So like I said, this week is about the politics of validation. So we've got to be mindful of public tactics where people are trying to turn the public against the Grenfell for Justice campaign, and I think the Daily Telegraph tried to put a hit list on some of the activists saying that there was something wrong with them, when actually there are some really good people actually just who care passionately about justice for the families and actually doing some good stuff. That's a sign of merit to me. So that's one way that the media is trying to work against us. But finally, like I said, this whole idea about there only being 1 inquiry, well, actually right now there's 3 inquiries. Fire inquiry, police inquiry, public inquiry. All the media is focused on the public inquiry, and that Moore-Bick character isn't going to deliver justice. We need to be focused and make sure that we keep talking about and keep looking into it and put scrutiny on the police inquiry, because that's going to find us who is responsible. So anyway, like usual, I'm going to say, may the ancestors guide and protect us. Have a blessed week. Asher.